Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Finally, this is the creepypasta tier list that I've been hyping up for this whole month. And here we have the tier list finally, as you can see, from best to worst. Of course, you can see the ratings, the S through F. And I feel like the reason why I had the initial best to worst is because there can only be one best creepypasta out there, at least for right now, and there can only be one worst one that we can all make fun of and laugh and realize why we made this popular, because these are the 20 most popular creepypastas out there. So I know you guys just want me to get over it and, you know, see my ratings, so here they are. Let's start off with Psychosis. Now, Psychosis was a pretty hard one to deduce because I really like the story. My reasoning is it best tier worthy? And honestly, no, I think it belongs on the S tier though. The story was very good, of a man going insane of a virus or cancerous type of poisons. Remember, he was suffering from something called cyberpsychosis, and him ruining his relationship with his friend, not knowing if there are monsters or things out there. Him basically isolating himself was a very good way to see how mad he got, the main character John. And also I like the way they used the journal entries to see how fixated he was to seeing that if the monsters are going to overtake him. And we don't even know if the guy is telling the truth, if he is suffering from cyberpsychosis. We don't know what the true, we don't know the truth about it. And I think that's very cool in creepypastas, you know, leaving a little bit of mystery in the story to make sure not to give us the full explanation, to keep us, you know, wondering and analyzing the story. Next up we have Zalgo. So in the initial reading I had it as a pretty good creepypasta, probably in the B tier, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm feeling D. The reason why I'm feeling D is because there are times where I felt like the story was dragging. I felt like, yes, this guy was suffering from some monster's effect, but it just, you know, hurry up, what's next? Because it just kept on saying, I was trying to see this, but now this guy has black eyes and now I see tendrils. That's kind of like boring when you're trying to keep up with reading, and you could see that I was kind of slowly nodding off, and it's pretty long creepypasta itself, so I'm gonna put it in the D tier. Slenderman, the creepypasta itself is kind of like a C or D tier, but putting Slenderman below anything than a B is kind of, you know, it's kind of hearsay in my opinion, so I'm gonna put Slenderman in the B tier. I really like the mythos, the whole urban legend feel of Slenderman, but putting it, you know, in anywhere, you know, lower, like in the D, E or F is like disingenuous, so B is a perfect place to put it. Dead Bard, this one was probably the most complicated one to put because I kind of initially had it in the E tier, because I'm not gonna lie, lost episode creepypastas are very bad. You know, a lot of them are gonna be in the low tiers. I also feel bad for people who wanted me to, I guess, talk about it in my reading because of copyright kind of took it out. So yeah, you're just gonna be hearing nothing but music for like 3 minutes, 5 minutes, so sorry about that. Now I'll try to clip it out. But the Dead Bart story of it, you know, finding the lost episode, Bart dying, everything feeling, you know, creepy, Matt groaning, and the whole numbers of the episodes, I think that's cool, and I think that's what, you know, makes it better than the other lost episodes. So that's why I have it in the D tier list, because unlike the other ones that are kind of trash, this one at least kind of attempts to make it more realistic and less laughable, not compared to the other trash that we have next. Sonic.exe. Sonic.exe has to be one of the worst readings I've ever done. Reading it like I had to force myself to be serious, especially for the last 10 creepypastas. I try to make sure I was serious because these last batches of creepypastas are kind of trash, not gonna lie, because in my first reading of Jeff the Killer I was kind of laughing myself to death when Jeff was going crazy. But this creepypasta is so stupid. It's like, this guy is like Chris Chan levels of stupid. Like, he's over there crying because poor Tails or Knuckles or Robotnik is dying because Sonic's evil, and then the complete use of hyper-realistic blood, 666, it's so stupid. That's all I can say, it's stupid. So I'm gonna put it in the E tier. It could have been worse, and I'll show you why it belongs in the E tier when I finally talk about the F tiers, but I feel like in the E tier, it does it justice. It's not the best, trust me. Next up is Eyeless Jack. And honestly, I'm gonna put Eyeless Jack in E. Originally, I thought it was a pretty good creepypasta, and you know, put it in the C. C tier is kind of like the potential tier list, you know? But the more I read it, and after hearing it again, it's kind of stupid, isn't it? Like, suddenly this monster appears, it takes out his like liver or something, then he goes to the doctor, and the doctor's like, oh yeah, by the way, Mitch, your liver is missing, or your, you know, lung or something. What? You're telling me that there's like this gash? And he's like, sorry about that. Yeah, we don't know what happened to it, but yeah, you should probably check that out. He's at the doctor. What? There's no examination, there's nothing with the police or anything. Like, oh, okay. And then the brother dies, and then the monster comes, and it appears to have like black ooze, so it's not human. I don't know. I didn't like this one, you know. Yeah, I probably should have taken his appendix or something. That's why I put Eyeless Jack in E tier. I don't see any use of Eyeless Jack. Maybe it could be a cool, like, just monster that tries to appear human. Maybe it does have potential, but right now just reading it just makes my brain hurt because the E tier is nothing for pure stupidity. Polybius, I'm gonna put it in the A tier. I feel like Polybius is a good place for creepypastas that are realistic, that have, you know, a good amount of credibility to it. You know, I could definitely see someone, you know, the government, you know, putting this in the 80s, trying to do it MK Ultra style, you know, like Stranger Things. That's the type of stories that I like, so I'll definitely put it in the A tier. The Russian Sleep Experiment. Now, I originally praised the Russian Sleep Experiment, but reading it again, just I kind of got disappointed, not gonna lie. I feel like the Russian Sleep Experiment, it was trying too hard to be scary and monstrous, you know, like these guys are like killing themselves, but they want to be here because of their delusions of grandeur. They're believing that they're meeting God, and then suddenly everyone from the scientists and the soldiers are like, no, we need this to happen. What is the point of the Russian Sleep Experiment? Like, what are they trying to find out? Because in every war atrocity, they're trying to find out something about the human body, you know, like what's the pressure that we can handle, what's the temperature of how hot we can get or how cold we can get, you know, stuff like that. What is the whole point of the Russian Sleep Experiment? It just feels like there was no point of them doing the experiment. I think it would have been better if they just said, yeah, we're evil, ha ha ha. The use of the you know, the monsters that they used and the whole gas mask stuff, without knowing it, it's very scary and very, you know, creepy. But reading more into it, the more you can find faults, and I'm afraid to put it in the E tier list because I believe Sonic.exe and Eyeless Jack are more stupid, but Russian Sleep Experiment still has a lot of faults, so I'm gonna have to put it in the D tier list. The Lavender Town Syndrome. You know, this creepy music scared a lot of people back in the day, and honestly, I'm gonna have to put it in the C tier list. It's not good, it's not the best, so I can't put it there. I just feel like the Lavender Town Syndrome felt like it had a ceiling, like it can't be that bad, you know, especially with the internet and everybody finding out, yes, about the whole Polygon TV show incident, putting every kid with seizures. So there's credibility of something crazy happening like that, yes, but we're listening to the song and everybody's saying this is the true Lavender Town song that made, you know, these kids kill themselves. And then you hear it, and at most it's just gonna bother your, you know, gonna give you a headache maybe, because apparently the song is supposed to give you a headache, it makes you nauseous, and it makes you suicidal. So I think they went a little too overboard with that, but I'm gonna put it in the C tier list. I feel like it's good. Gateway of the Mind, I'm gonna also put it in the C tier list. It's not as stupid as the Russian Sleep Experiment, you know, I don't find that much faults. Apparently it's a way to find, you know, you take out all the senses of a human being to get you closer to God, so you can feel his presence of sorts. But I feel like Gateway of the Mind, first off, the video is just some weird art, you know, art video of some guy, you know, covering himself in clay and water and paint. Gateway of the Mind as a creepypasta feels like it holds up more than the Russian Sleep Experiment, and I feel like with a little bit of tinkers and a little bit of, you know, dashes of other things, it could be a possibly good creepypasta, better than Russian Sleep Experiment. Smile Dog, I'm about to put in the B tier list. Very good, you know, cursed image creepypasta. The image is scary. The story can get a little too, you know, like, you know, I was trying to save her and then I saw Smile Dog and I went insane. The creepypasta did its best. Thankfully it didn't go too overboard. Of course people killed themselves and all that stuff, but I thought it could have been worse. Herobrine, I'm about to put Herobrine in C. Yeah, it's kind of nothing, and there's a lot of faults from, you know, Notch's dead brother to the whole alpha beta test of Minecraft not being popular at the time. There's just a lot of, you know, things you can pick at, but Herobrine, kind of like the Slenderman as an urban legend, video game urban legend, is pretty good. I feel like a lot of kids still believe in Herobrine. You know, I did see a video saying that Sonic.exe is popular, and you know, just because people are using it in fan art doesn't mean it's popular, or in their videos or in Roblox doesn't mean it's popular. But Herobrine being treated kind of like Bigfoot from San Andreas, or even the Lavender Town Syndrome as an urban legend, that's a good enough place. Ben Drown, I'm gonna put Ben Drown, and this is probably the hottest take out there. I'm gonna have to put Ben Drown in D. The reason why is because I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of boring and getting really repetitive. The story is every cliche video game creepypasta. I found this in the yard sale, or I got this somewhere or somehow. You know, it has a name written, you know, scratched in the game disc or cartridge. I'm not supposed to play it, but I play it anyways, and you know, something scary happens with the character trying to kill me. I feel like Ben Drown, it's kind of getting boring, you know. The more I read it, the more that's why I found the shorter version or the summary version of Ben Drowned because it was just getting too long. 45 minutes of just, I play this part of Majora's Mask, scary. I play this part, the statue. I play this part, the statue. It was just too long, too repetitive. And the ending isn't even really that good, to be honest, so I'm gonna have to put in the D tier list. 1999. Now, 1999 is an interesting creepypasta. I'll first talk about the story. The story was pretty good. The character being in 1999 trying to watch his favorite show, only to get a TV that allows him to watch Mr. Bear's channel, and all the horrible stuff happening with that channel, with the supposed deaths of these kids is very interesting. I feel like I'm glad that it doesn't go too further into, details of the kids being murdered and even other stuff. So I'm glad that happened, and I kind of left it off. There's still more of the story because there's more updates of 1999. I just stopped where the original part of 1999 ended because, little by little the author gave updates of 1999, finding out about Mr. Bear and all that stuff. He tries to go, putting him away once and for all. So he goes to the police, tries to find information and finds more videos of the Mr. Bear show, finds all of this regarding Mr. Bear, and tries to find him out once and for all, put Mr. Bear into justice, or find him, or find the reason why he's doing this. And apparently the reason is that he finds humans as filth, so apparently Mr. Bear is Zamasu. One of the things about 1999 is apparently 1999 has controversy because there are parts of 1999, the creepypasta, that are similar to Alan Tutorial. Now, originally I was going to make a video about Alan Tutorial, but I decided not to, mainly because it's kind of old news. It's been covered before, so I was kind of ready, putting it in the side. Maybe I could make a short or two about Alan Tutorial, but I wasn't really going to touch it until I found out that apparently the author of 1999 was using bits and pieces of Alan Tutorial's video in the creepypasta. So a lot of people were saying he's plagiarizing this, he's plagiarizing that, and there was this big controversy regarding this. There are some parts that kind of hint that there's similarities to Alan Tutorials, and then there are some that is just verbatim the same thing. It's just a script of the video that Alan made. So I feel like that kind of muddies down 1999's legacy, but I feel like a B is pretty good for 1999. Next up we have Tiki Toby. Now Tiki Toby is interesting because out of all the creepypastas, it has the most supportive group in the creepypasta community. A lot of people love Tiki Toby. I feel like the love that Tiki Toby gets is because, he's an innocent kid, he has his sister and everything goes bad, and once he goes insane, it's not really his fault because apparently he's controlled by some sort of monster, which we find out being hinted, and it's basically confirmed that it was Slenderman. So he's like a proxy of Slenderman, and a lot of people hate this part of the story. I personally wouldn't prefer that, but it's fine. A lot of people argue that now that it's connected with Slenderman, it's not Tiki Toby's story anymore, it's now Slenderman's story, and it's true, but to me, I feel like it's just, it's not that big of a deal. I think it just did it kind of wrong, to say that Slenderman was just controlling Tiki Toby, and his issue, medical issue of not feeling pain. So apparently he's Ajax from Deadpool is kind of stupid because they treat it as a superpower. So whenever, they try to attack him or something like that, he doesn't feel the pain, which in a way kind of muddies it because in actuality, him not feeling pain is kind of a detriment to Tiki Toby because now he doesn't know if he's injured or not. He can't treat any wounds or any serious illnesses. And, instead of him feeling like this unbeatable monster, he's actually kind of weak, especially with him and his tics. So I feel like Tiki Toby, I'm not going to put him in the F. He's not the worst. And he's not as stupid as Sonic.exe or even Eyeless Jack. So I'll do you guys a favor and put Tiki Toby in the D tier list. Hopefully I can, appease some of you Tiki Toby fans because, sorry, it's not that good of a story, but it's not the worst. So don't worry about it. We all have our guilty pleasures. So you see what's left, so might as well go for it. Candle Cove is the best creepypasta I've ever seen, I've ever read. Right now, I'm pretty sure there are other good creepypasta stories that have, gotten more updates. But for right now, as popular as Candle Cove, Candle Cove has a whole TV show based around it. Come on, Candle Cove is one of the best creepypastas. When you hear me read it sounds like I'm genuinely interested compared to even all the other creepypastas. Psychosis barely, I could barely say that I was interested compared to Candle Cove. The story of it being a thread, all the misspellings, and you can believe that these are actual characters talking about Candle Cove, and eventually how they piece by piece, give you information of the story of Candle Cove, from Percy to Horace Horrible and eventually the Skin Taker. It's so good. And eventually the whole story being, the whole show being fake, especially with the whole ending part of, I went to see my mother and she would always say, why are you staring at static? It's so good. So yes, Candle Cove right now is the best creepypasta, most popular popular creepypasta out. That's all I can say. So as for the worst, well, you can see the 4 that are left, so might as well talk about that. Jeff the Killer. Honestly, I'm tempted to put it in the worst. I know Fish Stick on a Stick, that's my reference. He has basically said that it's the worst creepypasta he's read. His criteria is more of the influence that the creepypasta has, and of course Jeff the Killer gave rise to, heck, these 3, honestly. And I feel like Jeff the Killer is the most popular creepypasta next to Slender Man, and I feel like because of that it is the worst. But in my tier list, it's not bad. It's in the F tier list. There you go, throw that there. But Jeff the Killer, the story was so bad. I was laughing reading Jeff the Killer, and I was reading the 2015 version. Apparently 2011 is even worse. So take that with what you will. If not for the whole hunt for the Jeff the Killer image, the whole story of Jeff the Killer, the whole importance of it would have been down the drain. The story is bad, the characters are bad, everything about Jeff the Killer is bad. But at least the hunt for Jeff the Killer image is kind of interesting when you think about it. I even try to handle, do a little dabbling myself. Squidward's Suicide is going to the F tier list. Now, Squidward's Suicide originally was going to be in the D or E tier list, but after rereading it, I realized that Squidward's Suicide is the usage of dead kids was so distasteful, so stupid, and even the story itself, like okay, you're an intern in Nickelodeon Studios and you're watching this, I can definitely tell some little kid or someone so with not that well brain capacity could have created that, because as an intern you don't really get to do those sort of stuff. You're an intern, you're not that much of importance. And then the whole them describing Squidward's Suicide was so stupid. Squidward crying, Squidward holding a shotgun, hyper realistic eyes, incredible. I feel like this creepypasta is trash. It's not the worst. I'm gonna put it in F tier. As I said, the pure distaste for including dead kids as pure shock value diminishes creepypastas in my opinion. And as you can see, these 2 are in the running for the worst, so it doesn't do them any good. So might as well say it. Which one's worse, Sally or Clockwork? And next to my decision for Dead Bart, this one was the hardest to choose, because at one point you have the total explanation of the fall of Sally's innocence, and then you have the crazy, creepy, rapey world of Clockwork. And honestly, Clockwork is worse, so I'm gonna put Sally Come Play With Me in the F tier list. Now, there is a channel called Bad Creepypasta. They do readings of creepypasta. It's a couple of guys just enjoying themselves reading these stupid creepypastas. They uploaded a video of a supposed lost episode of them reading Sally Come Play With Me. They couldn't finish the story. It was like incomplete, and the whole time they were basically hinting, oh yeah, the uncle, he's a pedophile, and then it happens, and then they were like, what did we expect? It just feels so forced to have this. I don't know why they included the full story of it. It felt like 2/3 of the story was that the grooming and the eventual abuse of Sally, and then oh yeah, she's a bad person, she's a ghost, so they included the whole thing of haunting the girl and killing the girl. It felt rushed, and I felt like it just felt too uncomfortable, and then when it does happen, it doesn't make any sense. So when Sally comes to her mother, explaining that something bad has happened, that's why she's not in a good mood, the mother just chucks it up as some sort of nightmare. What? She's almost literally telling you without saying it that she was touched by her uncle, and you're saying it was probably just a horrible nightmare, Sally, don't worry, it's okay. What? And then the uncle basically gets away with it. Like, the author of Sally had to make some adjustments and eventually include that the uncle either died in an accident or that he went to jail and got killed by the prisoners after finding out what he did. It feels like a little too late in my opinion. And so Sally is no longer this evil entity. She's now this innocent little girl that had her whole life taken away. So now we don't even feel bad if she kills anyone. Okay, yeah, she killed this innocent, teenager, but I mean, come on, look at what happened to her. Her whole abuse takes most of the story, and you can tell I was uncomfortable just talking about it next to this other piece of garbage. But yeah, Sally Come Play With Me. The poor use of rape essay of a child, the incompetence of the writing, the whole, forced shoe-in of that, oh yeah, by the way, she's a evil entity, so we're gonna have Sally kill this one girl. It just feels stupid. I didn't like this story. But you know what's worse than Sally Come Play With Me? Clockwork Your Time Is Up. Clockwork Your Time Is Up is in the worst tier list. It is the worst story I've ever read. It's so stupid. Alright, so I didn't talk about Clockwork in my reading, if you even saw that video. Clockwork is such an interesting story because it does everything to attempt to make you feel bad for Natalie. From the beginning of the story, we see nothing but the worst. She gets abused by her father, gets SA'd by her brother in the most uncomfortable way. She breaks up with her boyfriend, so she's late with work, everything bad is happening to Natalie. She finally goes insane, and out of nowhere she gets some sort of Zenkai boost from Dragon Ball. She gets a big power up, like she got the Sharingan, but instead of the red eyes it's green. And as I said, she's suddenly over there mass murdering, killing these like cops and security guards and doctors like she's John Wick. And then the way she killed her parents and brother, talk about overkill. Opening her mother's chest cavity, impaling her father, over there cutting the fingers of the brother. Yes, they deserve this, but it's not a good thing when you're trying to be scared of Clockwork. This isn't no longer a scary story, it's a revenge fantasy. It's essentially a redo of a healer, and not in a good way. I honestly feel like Clockwork is the worst creepypasta out. From its horrible usage of rape, incest, abuse, everything being wrong, and the amount of gore being added in there, it's just so horrible. We don't need to like read all these details of the way you're killing killing the family. And you know what's so worse about the story? The author's over there trying to fit in this theme of time. You know, Natalie, she's always wondering, I don't have this much time. You're running out of time. Your time is up. What is that supposed to do with the whole story? Like, if she had time, she wouldn't be in the room to get abused. If she had known about the time, she probably wouldn't be raped. Would there be a right time for her to still be with her boyfriend that kept her sane? This is so stupid. And like the whole final monologue of Clockwork saying time is a cycle. Shut up. This story just, it infuriates me. It's horribly done. Clockwork, instead of a, you know, scary villain with, you know, like maybe like an urban legend of a girl that's faced so much trauma, now trying to kill anyone she sees, she now feels like a horrible version of Kurumi from Date 8 Live, and that's not a good thing. But yeah, that's all I have to do, you know, talking about Clockwork. I can talk about Clockwork all day, sadly, because the amount of bullshit, you probably already heard of this. Everyone in the creepypasta community say that it's the worst creepypasta out there that they read, and it's the worst popular creepypasta in my opinion. Clockwork doesn't work in any sense of the way. It's a broken clock, and honestly, I don't know if you can even fix it. I don't even know if there's a way to fix it. Maybe if you find it in the viewpoint of the boyfriend, maybe you can do something. You know, I'm trying to come up with ideas. Maybe one day I might make a video on trying to fix these horrible creepypastas to at least make it bearable, because a lot of these aren't. But here is my creepypasta tier list. Finally, it's updated. Finally, I've at least talked about it. I've given my full opinion. Hopefully it's been worth it. You know, you guy needs a couple of views. So this is it. Just like Clockwork, the video's time is up. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.